No more grabbing.
I want to say to the Asian community, we want honesty, we want justice. We want them to do in this country what we can do in India. If we are going to shed blood because of our land, we will. We are used to that. Our forefathers shed blood for our land. We will do so. This is my blood. And it reminds me of the blood that Waiyaki shed, trying to protect Karura Forest. What I do hurts some very powerful people in the wrong way. And because we live in a very volatile continent, and as we're a very volatile country, you just never know when something may happen and you may be at the wrong place.
Ongari Mathai there from the archives, just refreshing our memory how she was a bulwark and a stalwart of fighting for the environmental justice, securing Karura Forest, also Uhuru Park as we know it right now, a Nobel laureate. These are some of the editorial cartoons that will just remind you how the politics over the week that has been, especially looking at the Jubilee Party and the intrigues so far at the National Assembly and how Sabina Sh6b maintained her minority whip seat in the National Assembly at the special umbrage of the Azimio Party, or Azimio Coalition I should say. You can see the shopping basket there with Uhuru Kenyatta. He's only left with, of course, Jeremiah Kioni and David Morade as well. And cutting away also that particular basket is Sabina Sh6b, Kanini Kega, and we can see also Eden Kainan there, and Waluhe as well in that particular. Waluhe is still in Jubilee Party, is he? Or he crossed over to, yeah? But he's been toing and froing between ODM and Jubilee. Yeah, so that is the lesser development as we know it right now, and still Azimio are taking special umbrage with that. You will tell us, Makali and Elachi on this. And this guitar now comes to the Senate, right? It has been playing in Meru, and right now it will actually be started in the Senate this week. Impeachment. It's a Senate. It's Senate. I should say, baby. It's Senate's baby now. It's your baby, Richard Onyonka and Danson Mungatana. It's your baby. Will you salvage as it is, Honorable Kawera, or not? And will it now be within the committee or the plenary?
Yeah,
you want to say something?
Dibal, I want to say this, and I know on this one, me and my brother Mungatana agree. Let us interrogate Kawira Mwangaza on plenary. The issue of this thing being taken to committee, they went to committee last time, they achieved the same results. If they go back, they might achieve the same. Let us interrogate, let us discuss, let the issues be raised, and let us be fair. Let the Kenyan public be the arbiter. Let us just say it the way it is. Let us look at the issues which have been brought, and then let the public see, and let us vote so that it's conclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is I can see your James Orengo there as well, and is that James Orengo or that particular door there?
If the guy entering.
The guy, yeah. If you may just have the picture in full as well, and we have, I can't just recognize this voice as well over here. I don't know. I know there have been issues also with MCAs within.
I think the reason why if that is Orengo, they are most probably, he's going to be whispering to her saying, I had a duel being brought here. And maybe you need to come and talk to me. I tell you how the duel survived.
We had Nyaribo as well. Could this be Nyaribo?
No, Nyaribo they didn't bring Nyaribo to the Senate.
Not to the Senate, but we had the same issue with the MCAs as well.
That is true. He managed to have a sitting, and I think it was politically agreed. Because, impeachment is a quasi-political thing. And Nyaribo survived, and I hope that he will be sorting out the issues, the outstanding issues that he has got with his MCAs. And there's a trend that I'm seeing, which I don't know that my colleagues have seen it. If you look at one of the issues that the members of Kawira are raising, and even the members of the county assembly, even the ones in Nyamira, they were raising, is about how even when there's no legal framework about the ward fund, at least the governors need to send money which are ward-based in terms of equitably sharing the money and giving the MCAs, not for them to handle the money, but for them to oversight money, which if the governor is fair and just, he would have distributed equitably amongst all the wards. In fact, the ward fund issue, if you ever can use that term, is one of the very, very pertinent questions that has come up in all these impeachments.
Right. Yes. We shall be looking at, of course, that particular issue of a Senate with Kawira as well, more intensely. But you wanted to say something briefly?
No, I just wanted to say that what Kenyans are seeing with the governors coming over to the Senate with impeachment articles is something they should expect in future for presidents.
Yes.
It is something that will be happening for presidents in future. That only this time it will start with the National Assembly, where they will pass the impeachment articles and they bring them to the Senate. Now, we want Kenyans to realize that impeachment is a very delicate process because here you are balancing between the voice of the people who elected this person to office and the issues that are being accused, they're being laid as charges. So it is, like my colleague said, a quasi-political. You're balancing the law, but you're also balancing, you're bearing in mind at the back of your mind that for me, as an elected person, that's why it's not a judge sitting there. As an elected person, I know what universal suffrage means, what votes means. So it must be something really, really serious for me to say, I'm going to set aside the will of the people, and this is serious enough for me to send this person to go and seek fresh will of the people, or in some instances, the contraventions are so grave that he does not deserve to even go back to the will of the people again. So it is a really serious balancing act. And Kenyans listening to me there, they should know that when the governor comes, the Senate will have to make the decision whether we should have it plenary, that is all the senators participating in answering those charges, in questioning the charges that are before the Senate, the governor facing them, or whether the Senate would set up a committee and go to examine those charges and bring a report. Now, for the first time, I think there's general consensus that the first time that it happened, Honorable High Excellency Governor Kawira Mwangaza was given the opportunity to sit in committee. But right now, as I hear what the Senate and the fellow honorable senators are saying, let us have the opportunity for us to listen to her in plenary. So it is most unlikely that she will go into committee. We are most likely going to have a plenary session, and if the plenary upholds, then she will go home. If the plenary says no, then they will be sent back to Meru. And I do not want to discuss the merits or demerits of what happens. It's only that there is a big question where you're having all the MCAs voting unanimously against the governor. There's a problem there.
Yes.
So politically, it sends a very strong message for all of us who are seated in the Senate. Say if it was 2021, 20, 30, 2040 even, but when you're seeing
almost 90%,
100% actually, because we had only abstentions, 100% voting again, it sends a very strong political message. And we understand the politics when there is politics and there is reality. But sometimes, but anyway, let the charges come. But
right.
What I can tell the people of Meru is that there's a strong message that has been sent this time round, unlike the first round. And the senators are going to be sensitive to that.
Right, indeed. Yeah. Okay, we shall just be looking at that maybe at the tail end of the program. But I wanted to just go back still on Westage and questioning some of this budgetary issue. I can see, Honorable Mokali, you're looking at me like you wanted to say something, right?
No, just
okay.
Maybe
no,
for the issue of Kawira, I like the the issue of the guitar in the house.
The guitar in the house.
I hope the guitar will not be used to change to change the stand of the Senate. But all said and done, I think the issue of Governor Kawira and the Meru people.
I don't want us to lose the steam of what we had before, so we can dedicate.
Basically, let the Senate also.
Yeah, the Senate will actually we'll discuss this at the tail end, because this is a developing story. But
what we were saying earlier, Dibao, and I think I've said this many times in this show, that to me, I think as a country where we are getting it wrong, and I want to acknowledge as an economist, is that we are not looking at where we are spending our money on. So, to me, the issue of expenditure, the expenditure side of our budget, that is, we have the revenue side, how do we collect money, how we spend the money. I think is an area all of us as members of parliament, this time, we must get it right. I think we are spending money in areas which I think we could easily do away with and save Kenyans the eyes of being taxed more. Because this issue of taxation is becoming serious. We are all leaders, grassroots leaders. As you heard earlier, all of us, we were all in our constituencies, we were interacting with our people on a day-to-day basis. I remember on on Saturday, I attended an evening funeral arrangement event in one of my in my constituency. And as I was concluding, I was asking the mourners to pray for the government, because we are all going through very difficult times. And when I said, are you not feeling the heat? All of them, it was such like they were clapping for Mweshima, we are dying, we are dying. So this is not, it doesn't matter which political divide you are in. Every Kenyan is also. So it is time we start asking the question, is it worth spending this money on the proposed activity? And I think normally, I don't think a beggar has a luxury of living like a king. In a situation where you are borrowing money to do your activities, you can't start living like a king. Somebody who has excess and can afford to do all the luxurious things and still live.
Thank you.
To me, we need to get back to our senses and do as Honorable Onyonga was proposing. We live within our means as a country.
All right.
Yes.
How then we spend the money? I wanted just to get granular with the issue as well that has been there since the last week but one, and where the president, and I was raising this issue off camera as well, has raised concern on how we're spending the money and the resumption of the Kenya National Trade Corporation. Right now, the EACC now has embarked on some of this cost of edible oil that were found to be inflated. And as I've mentioned, the president has directed the head of civil service to write to EACC over claims that a CS, a state corporation CEO and a state house official colluded and added $7 per liter for commodity meant to lower cost of living. And so we saw last week the EACC now has taken this matter to their docket right now, and we expect something should be happening from this particular end. So the resumption of Kenya National Trade Corporation as a parastatal, it has been in the doldrums. It was non-existent. And everyone will raise question on why this particular corporation was raised in the first place, and why this particular eye-popping figure of 6 billion shilling scandal also is now in the public domain, and why also we have stocks that cannot be absorbed in the market. This is a dead stock when we're talking about millions, billions of shillings that were imported in the country, and they are of poor quality. They cannot be solved. They cannot be distributed because they are not meeting the purpose that they were meant to meet, to lower the cost of living as it is. First of all, the government is seeking the government will bail out parastatals by 111 billion shillings. Why would we be bailing out these parastatals? We have a report by Abdikadir's task force that also recommended the collapse or the merger of some of these parastatals, while we're seeking another 111 billion shillings to bail out parastatals. Let's just begin from there. Begin with the Kenya National Trade Corporation. Richard Onyonka.
It is I think this is a case that is really going to show whether the president is going to be serious about fighting corruption or whether he's just going to have lip service in this matter. Dibal, I think you're aware that the National Assembly has been interrogating this deal. Mm-hmm. You're aware that government money was taken over the Kenya National Trading Corporation, the old KNTC. I don't know why somebody would pick up a moribund institution which basically never did any business for the last 15 years to have money go through it. And the way the story goes, somebody then went and negotiated for a price with some companies in Malaysia. And the discussions which took place, from the information we get, is they then negotiated their commissions upwards. And of course they paid for this oil, for this cooking oil, not motor oil, but it's cooking oil. And then once they paid for this cooking oil, they found out that in fact they had ended up purchasing this cooking oil at twice the market price. So the oil itself cannot be sold. And then of course I saw somebody from the Ministry of Trade make an announcement that there will be dispensers in local markets which will be distributing this oil, which I thought was crazy because it's never happened anywhere in the world. I mean, have you ever seen cooking oil? Cooking oil needs to be packaged properly. It needs to be managed health-wise. It needs to be handled because it's really, of course, the argument is it's going to be burnt anyway, so you can handle it whichever way you want. No, there are standards which need to be maintained. So I've been waiting for the dispensing machines to distribute this oil to be sent over to all the counties in Kenya, and I was waiting to see that. But I'm happy that the president has seen what is happening. The next thing I want the president to look at, Dibal, is this government-to-government transaction about how we are buying our oil. Mm-hmm. We are getting information that actually there was no transaction like that. I would like the agreements on both these deals to be tabled in the House. We now need to start interrogating our government officers on the things which they're doing. The amounts of money, in fact, a friend of mine who gave me the information yesterday was mentioning to me, he said the amount of money that was made from this transaction for the purchase of the motor oil, the crude oil that, and the fuel oil that we are receiving, could actually on a monthly basis, could end up starting paying our debts without any question. But this is money, again, the story is coming out, that is being shared between the mandarins and the dealers, the entrepreneurs who have been transacting these things. So I hope that President William Ruto will take it upon himself as the head of state and make sure that this issue and the story about government-to-government fuel purchase is looked at. He allows the agreements to be interrogated in the House so that we can get to the bottom of the scandals which are coming out. The truth is, during the Jubilee government, we had various scandals, very many scandals. And every time I saw my political leaders who are now in government saying how Uhuru, in fact, is not interrogating, is not investigating. It is his friends from KEMSA. Remember David Murade's story about how he made billions from KEMSA? Nothing happened about it. I hope that this doesn't become the president's hump that he's carrying on his neck, because his friends who are politically expedient but are becoming corruptly insensitive about what Kenyans feel right now. And I think with time, if you find 2, 3, 4 of these scandals coming out, it might be very difficult for the president to convince Kenyans that he's actually managing our affairs well and is managing our country well. I really believe that for the first time, as this story has come out, and there are 2, 3 others, let him go to the bottom of it. And if he finds that people who have literally been stealing money from the public, can he have the full force of the law come into effect and let people begin to be answerable? Because the reason why the Auditor General, the Controller of Budget, why David Indi, and all these advisors who are around the president are telling him that we are actually a wasteful country. It is simply, Dibal, because people don't have any deterrence from fearing that stealing public money is punishable. And this runs from the national government runs down to the county governments, runs down to our members of National Assembly, and runs down to MCAs. I mean, you've seen MCAs who file documentation for surrender of interest. They say they went to Europe and came back the day after. You know that's not realistic. Such things have to be stopped. We must begin to live within our means. I am just begging our people that where the ground is right now, what Kenyans are talking about. I mean, Dibal, I used to drive to Kisii in my car on one route. I used to spend about 11,000, maybe 10, one way. Now I'm at 24,000. For me to go to Kisii, I have to sit, budget and plan, because my fueling is 50,000 shillings going and coming back. That's the reality, and I'm given mileage by the National Assembly. Imagine for an ordinary Kenyan whose fuel before, when they would travel up country once a month, they were spending 8,000, maybe with everything. With 20,000, they can go and come back, go and see a mother or a father who's sick. Right now, people are traveling up country after 3 months. That's the reality on the ground. So if these things keep up popping up, these stories about how money is being stolen, stories about how, like the president said, can you stop making these unnecessary trips? People continue mismanaging resources at the county government, at the county level, where money is being stolen by the MCAs, by the members of the National Assembly, by the senators. If we become a den of thieves, Kenyans are just going to be fed up.
Right. Yes. And thievery is what Kenyans are not afraid of being, because, you know, if you can actually, from this particular deal, scoop out 3 billion shillings and you take it to the slummers, and this money also you invested somewhere, you don't mind going to prison for 10 good years, because there's money working for you. Before
you finish, somebody told me in Kenya, nobody wants to steal millions. They want to steal billions.
You want to steal billions.
Nobody wants to steal 50 million, 100. What for?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you steal billions, and you know the money will work for you. If that account is not frozen, you can actually be sleeping in the slums for 10 good years. When you come out from that,
the money is transferred in a day. Central bank is supposed to read a red flag. Nothing happened. I mean,
you got to save this country, yeah? I'm just giving you a scenario of what really happens. So you'll go for these billions, and then you'll get that your cut of billions. You'll go to the prison, and this is how they think, by the way. And I've actually been on the ground, and people think this way. What does it cost me to actually stay in prison for 10 good years? If I come, my money is there, and my wealth has grown. That is a good sacrifice, actually, I can make, right? Ilachi, where is our conscience? Where is our morality?
Well, I know.
Or it doesn't really matter.
I've always questioned that on all media, is that where did we just get this culture of just, oh yeah, I'll just take and move on, and there's nothing. In fact, the worst is the judiciary made it that way, that there's nothing that will happen, that I'll keep you in a case for 10 years. I'll keep you outside there on a bond. There was a time I kept on saying, why can't we have an economic way of doing this economic crime docket? Not now with judiciary. We think about it and we say, you've taken our money. Ours is very simple. We are not taking you to jail. We are taking back our money, and we will only leave you with your matrimonial home, and we give you a punishment of 10 to 15 years, not working anywhere, not doing business anywhere. But you see, Kenyans are smart. They'll do another company and a company and a company. You find one person is the one who rotates in government. He will do sugar, then he will do maize, then he will come and do this edible oil. And it's just one person, but he has so many companies. So why can't we also go back in a system where, if indeed you have been given a tender by government at this level of amounts, then in the newspaper we put you that so and so you have won this tender of government, because it's of government, and these are the directors, and that they are the ones doing for us this, so that when we come that the road was not done well, we just know it is that company. It was supposed to do maintenance for 1 year. Do we even follow up? We are here talking about maintenance. We never even follow up that if you have done any contract of government, there is that period you're given to ensure things that you did are working, and maybe 1 year or 2 years based on how the tender was structured. And so for me, when we talk about the trading corporation, then you go back to Mwongozo. What happened to Mwongozo? I thought they were saying they are reducing all these parastatals. I thought we were now coming up with the key parastatals that can take up all the roles and mandates of these other parastatals, so that you have one and you reduce them. Then you come and you say, government wants to bail out. You are bailing out your own institutions. Why? Mm-hmm. What happened to the money that you gave in the beginning? In
the first place.
Before you bail out, can you tell us who is rolling and how we are going to now bail it in, and the ones who are there, are they living? Or you're giving the same people who killed the institution? So that bailing out of an institution from government money to government, 118, take it to the debt. Close these parastatals. Take their mandates to where they can belong and they'll still work. So it's very wrong for government to say, you're bailing out your own institutions. So yet we have no money to bail out. You have not even given us the structured framework of saying, while we bail out this, we want to know, where did the monies of salary go? Why is it that it was bringing a loss? And what is it that we are bringing in new that is going to be better than what it was, and we are not going to have a loss again? And lastly, Dibal. Now let's go to Indonesia. The president came. They are the highest, the largest, it's the country which is the largest producer of oil.
Of palm oil.
Yeah, across the world. They have very good ATMs that function. The question will be, I know in Kenya we have the ATMs, by the way, and not because of, if you go to Isli, you'll be very shocked. The guy there who does very serious business with oil, with ATMs, and everyone just lines up. Today, with this economy, you will need that ATM. You will need it because people are unable to buy. If you brought in oil and you inflated $7 on each, then I'll go to the ATM where I'll just buy for 5, for 20 shillings, 50, for what I want to use at that time. That's where we have now taken Kenyans to that level. So the ATMs, yes, are needed, but we must ask ourselves, why would you take Kenyan money, go and do business with it, come and inflate? And yet the consumers are us Kenyans, who everywhere in the supermarkets, you remember, we just wondered, all of a sudden, oil was 100 and this. It has moved. It moved like lightning until 5 liters went to roughly 2,000 to 1,800, 2,000. And it depends with the brand. I've reached even a point I'm asking myself, is there a way as a country we can agree? Oil is oil, and so you can't tell me your brand is better than this one, unless you're telling me it has no cholesterol. But all of this has cholesterol in it. So we have to also rethink, and KEBS has to help us to also look at all this. Even the oils themselves, as much as we support the ATM one, we have to be very careful so that you don't bring us also oil that you know was of the lowest, because it will go through the ATM and it will go to the informal sectors, so you throw it to us. I think that is the most crucial part.
So we have the oil, it is inflated by $7 that is $7 per liter, and then we have it in poor quality. It is of poor quality, and we want this to be for the public consumption. We know what has been happening in this country also with the contaminated sugar, mercury you find there. When you're talking about, you want a healthy nation, we have the universal healthcare coverage as well, but you want to feed them poor quality that you want to buy in bulk. Now you don't know what to do with them. Now you want to give ATM dispensers to dispense this poor quality oil.
You know, Dibal, I can't agree more with what my colleagues are saying. Dibal, we have a network called Parliamentary Network Against Corruption. And I remember during the 12th Parliament, we organized a trip through our chair. A trip was organized to China. So we were in China for about a week. And one of the things we were discussing was how have you managed to sort out issues of corruption in China? even though you are not be promoting corruption outside China.
Yeah.
That was the topic of discussion. And one of the things which came out clearly was that within China, if you engage in corruption, ile mambo matatu ya Rais Ruto, the third one is the one which is applied. So the other two don't, the third one is what you apply. You send these guys to be good. That was the thing. And so what we are saying is, I think in this country, the laws are there, it's just application and implementation. Because on a serious note, if you have a deal like what is on the screen, the issue of the oil, if I've made 3 billion shillings as a result of that deal, and you send me to jail for 3 or 2 or 10 years, I will serve and come out and still find my 3B in the account. It will have now multiplied to another 1 additional B. So what we need is, we have the law on which leads to the issue of we need to send you to jail, but at the same time also repossess or take that money back to the government. So at the end of the day, that when you come out of the jail, you'll find nothing. You're actually a beggar. And that's what you should be pushing for. The challenge is you find these corrupt people are also very smart. Being assisted by the Senator Mugadanas with the lawyers, you know, the lawyers are very smart. They will make sure that even if they steal, you can never trace that money. It will be another accounts which you don't know, which you can't trace it. So the guy will go there, he will be in jail, but he knows very well when I come out, or you can make a call and say, oh, tell the wife, go and tell so and so to give you this kind of money, because the money is still theirs. So for me, I think in this country, what we are lacking is the ethics part of this country. I think as leaders, even if it will take us 10 years, we need to come up with a very clear program on how do we address the ethics part of our culture. So that when a young child, at the age of 4, starts growing, they grow knowing very well that corruption is bad. They go to standard 1 knowing it is bad, they go to secondary school knowing it is bad, so that by the time us who are seated here exit the stage, we'll have a new generation of Kenyans who don't believe that corruption pays. Because I think what is happening is Kenyans have gotten to a level where they think corruption pays. And since it pays, then everybody works hard to get indeed so that to get the payment. I think really we need to change our things, the ethics bit. The other thing we need to do is, and that's, I remember one time when we were here, I also commented the issue. You know, at one point, when President Ruto made this statement about the 3 things, Mambo de Matatu, you remember I actually said that is the way to go. I think, like Honorable Senator Onyonga was saying, we need now to see the president taking serious action. For example, when this investigation is done, and the results are out there, if by any chance they implicate anybody, either a CS or a PS or a director somewhere, we need to see those people just immediately stepping aside. For example, the initial preliminary investigation, if they indicate the CS was involved with the PS, let them step aside a bit, 2 or 3 months, to allow independent investigations so that they don't interfere with the investigations. If that happens, then we'll be sending the right signals. On the issue of oil, as you said, why would I buy? You know, we have said human beings are rational. And if you are rational, I can't buy this phone at 1,000 shillings if I can get the same phone at 10 shillings. So if you have oil in the market, and the Kenya National Trading Corporation is selling to us at 100 per litre, and in Isili, they are selling at 20 shillings per litre. I'm a rational human being. I would rather go to Isli, buy 100 liters. I will save on the fare a bit, but then when I go home, I'll have made some savings. So to me, really, we need to realize that the Kenyans of today are Kenyans who are very diligent, Kenyans who are very exposed, Kenyans who know the market trends and what is the market is offering. So in time you want to play around with the ideologies, they will resist. And that's why we are saying this oil, don't be surprised in another 1 or 2 years, seeing it being sent somewhere that to be, what do they do? To be destroyed. So that at the end of the day, the government will have incurred that loss. And the idea of pushing it through Kenya National Trading, even from the word go, Kenyans questioned that. You can remember, Kenyans were questioning, why through this this institution which has been dormant for many years. So it was a very well calculated move, so that you move the money through an institution which is not active, get your money, get your kickbacks, and move. And that's why you see, we have said we need serious parastatal reforms. And we see people are resisting, the government resisting. Because we're saying, why should you continue funding a parastatal which is not helping this country? Unless it's a social, there are parastatals which are taking care of social issues. But if it's an investment issue and it's not making profit, you dissolve it and then move on. Right. So to me, I think really as a country, this country by your standards is a very rich country.
Right. Yeah,
only if we manage our resources well.
Yeah.
So it's not the business of government to be in business. Yeah.
No, I'm still visualizing that sad incident in which police officers were being chased around by EACC officers, being arrested, and then they make a big issue out of it. Policemen, I'm not condoning the corruption on the road, but I'm saying making a big issue out of nothing. Just arresting a policeman, cameras, whatnot. And there is a CS who is under probe. There is a headline on the newspapers. And you don't see any statement from the CEO of EACC. Nothing, no paper, no movement, no nothing. But a small policeman who has taken 200 shillings, you're chasing him, you've arrested and filming. And there is a CS here who is not being pushed in any way, So I want to call upon the anti-corruption people. There is no way we are going to have success if the big guys are not taken down, and they must be taken down. The thing is, if you want to make an example out of an issue, you don't go for the small fish. You should go for the big fish. The rotting should be dealt with at the head, not at the tail. That's how we are going to succeed. And I know that it is difficult for the president to do this kind of thing, because some of those people, especially in the cabinet, we have been in the trenches together. We've been with them, and we've struggled to get this government together. So there is that, understandably, because of human relationships and human, feeling, you tend to take a lot of time to act on some of these issues. But the president should know, when he's doing the right thing, there will be resistance, yes, but ultimately, the people will stand with him. Ultimately, the politics will fall in place. Ultimately, the people want the right things to be done. So if we have to sacrifice a friend so that we survive, we have to take a friend to jail, we have to seize the properties, we have to return the money, let it be done. I think that the president's heart is in the right place. By this directive going to the Felix Kosgei, that a letter be written to EACC, I think he is taken the right direction and his heart is in the right place. What we want to see is action, machinery being moved, people being made to pay for what they did. I think we should not, you see, when we left the Uhuru administration and we came into this, we were hoping that those who struggle with us will share the vision. And I'm sure this is something very painful for the president, because he's the one who went to negotiate. Because remember, at that time, everything was so expensive at that time. Not that it's any less, but at that time, we were still living under shock. So you're going to make a deal that will allow some sort of relief for the people. And then someone comes and pieces off on this by making sure that the amount of money that you've negotiated, they are making their money, and the people are not getting the relief that was sought. I think it's a very painful thing, I think, at a personal level. And I think the way to do, just do the right thing as a leader. Just do the right thing and trust God. He will take care of you. Do not be worried that friends are gonna desert, friends are gonna fight. There'll be. I think sometimes as a leader, you just do the right thing. And on the parastatals, I am of the view that 101 billion being pumped to save these parastatals, it's one of those difficult things that we need to do, because sometimes revolutions are not good for any nation. What we need is a slow change. Now, if we say we're going to scrape off because we need that 111 billion to pay off public debt, what it actually means is that you're going to have maybe another 3,000 to 6,000 people off work. Parastatals won't pay salaries. Those who are doing social investment will go, and those projects of damming, those projects of cultivation or reclaiming land will also go. Salaries will be lost, employment will be lost. Parastatals dealing with investments will be lost. And in these difficult times, when you hear 6,000 people have left work, you have to worry. So for me, I think we need to be deliberate, slow but deliberate, that investment-oriented parastatals that are not making returns, they must fold and their duties taken, reallocated. But those ones that are dealing with social, we take a little time so that it be a program, a process, rather than an event that will shock the nation and leave people stranded. Because even winding up a parastatal will need more money than the 111 billion. You have to pay people their emoluments, their termination, and all that.
All right,
so it should be a programmed kind of phasing out. It should not be a revolution, because that will collapse a lot of lives, and it's Kenyans we are talking about.
Right, just remaining with a few minutes, so we should be preparing for our closing remarks.
Just to add, in public service right now, and I'm sorry, Senator.
It's okay.
The critical thing is not even to remove this stuff, they go home. You have a huge gap, because for 15 years, in the last regime, they didn't employ. And so when I was a cast of public service, one of the recommendations I gave, and I am telling you, Dibal, today, if one department leaves, they are leaving like 48 or 50 people at the same time to retirement. So why can't we just do a better program? Look at who are in these parastatals, how you put them back into the ministries.
Yeah, deploy.
We are not saying you just deploy them back.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Briefly, as also you prepare our headline thoughts, very briefly.
Number one, my honest observation is that the reason why this parastatal story is always a big story, one, there's no public participation. The leadership is always cahooting and negotiating. Look at Mumias, look at Nzoia, look at Chemele Sugar, look at Sonia Wendo. These are public institutions which the government has shareholding in them. They all lose money. They all get into corrupt deals. They all don't pay the farmers. Why? Because the system is designed by default or by design to fail. Look at all the private sugar companies. Go to Transmara, success. Look at Ndiwa, success. Go to Kibos, success. Look, all the private sugar companies in Kenya can make money. But public-private, government-owned and run parastatals is a den of stealing, and this is why it is not difficult. But even when the government may want to make changes in these institutions, can you please talk to the owners? The owners are the public. Whole public participation. Create a scenario where the Mwananchi owns the exercise. Talk to the leadership. Don't come and tell people, we are privating this. We have already a company that is coming. We want to solve the problem. Kenya has changed. The constitution we have forces us to discuss that. Finally, I want to ask you, Dibale, with a lot of humility, that David Murathe just called me. He's saying that I have named him in terms of arguing that KEMSA, he said he went and talked to the KEMSA people. Actually, I wasn't passing aspersions on him. I was actually saying his name was appearing over and over and over about that scandal. I do not know what happened to it. I don't know whether he went and exonerated himself. The only wonderful news he has given me is that a majority of the beneficiaries of KEMSA are now in government, and some of them are in the National Assembly and the Senate with us, and they're billionaires. And in fact, if the government was serious, should look for them so that they can return the money they stole. That's what David Murathe has just told me. So I want to say, David, my classmate, I wasn't attacking you. I'm just laying out the facts. And I hope that EACC is
So the
listening.
beneficiary is actually a billionaire is in government right now.
Yes,
Yes.
he's saying all the billionaires are in.
Okay.
Of KEMSA.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll
I,
follow up to, find
government.
out to get the list as well, from him as well. It would be nice. Let's get our closing remarks.
Well, first of all, I think today we have had a very good discussion on this issue of economy. And I am just hoping, we were not, for me, I was not saying you're a bad advisor or a good. Mine is, when you are out there, you told us you'll be the best. And I'm hoping to see that best. That is my cry. And so I am not, again, hoping to see lamentations, but solutions on what is best. When you say mismanagement, you should be saying, and put a paper in front of your boss and say, this is the mismanagement. Let him fire you to say, you have given me the right solution. And let him feel, okay, fine, you've given me, but you know, in politics we can't do that. But finally, let me just again continue sending my condolences to the family of Jeff Ayemba, who I know lives in my constituency, and we are still planning for the burial, which will be on the 11th of this month, of next month, which is starting tomorrow. And to just say, we start a new month, Kenyans, tomorrow, and we always say we are praying for our best.
Thank you.
I leave you with Psalms 91 to deal with our country, Kenya.
No, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow.
The day after tomorrow, yes. I am ahead even.
I want to start from where Murage has left it. The guys who rooted KEMSA are in our midst, and they are billionaires. Kenyans, please, by the time you vote somebody in, find out where the money they are giving you is coming from. Because they are looting our economy to be elected. When they come to parliament, their responsibility number one is to protect their wealth, which is actually acquired illegally. So in that case, it makes even governance very tricky. The other issue about is that this Kenyan economy has been assessed to be very resilient over time. But I can tell you for sure, it is not going to be resilient permanently. When this economy collapses because of the kind of things we are doing, there will be no Kenya Kwanza, there will be no Azimio. Every Kenyan will be in it. I plead that we take care of this economy for the sake of ourselves.
Thank you.
And for the sake of future generations.
Thank you. Mungatana.
My thoughts are that Kenyans should emulate what the president is doing. He has opened up new channels for potential revenue generation. And I'm talking about the mining. When we used to have only 100 billion invested in that department, now it's 3.5 billion. I believe that in the same manner, and this is going to pay off from what we saw when we were in Taita Taveta County and all the demonstrations we have. My word to Kenya is that even you, at family level, at personal level, don't be a lamentator, like my colleague has said. Open up new opportunities for yourself and see maybe God is going to bless you in those new ventures.
Thank you.
I thank you very much.
Right, thank you. As we're winding up, I'll just briefly, I'll read out this quickly, the one director. We have, I wanted just to find out from you if you can recognize this body. How easily? Vision, a corrupt-free Kenya. Mandates, undertake nationwide public education sensitization and awareness creation campaign aimed at affecting fundamental changes in attitude, behavior, practices, and culture of Kenyans towards corruption. Core functions, formulate policies and programs on anti-corruption campaigns, provide advisory services on corruption reporting, conduct research advocacy programs, create public awareness and sensitization on anti-corruption. Which body is this? Richard Onyonka? EACC.
No.
It's the National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee. Have you heard of it?
Which is under
that is
EACC also.
Which is, yeah, that's what it is not
all
under
those things,
EACC.
all those things should be taken.
It's a standalone.
They should be taken.
It's a standalone, I know.
All that stuff, take it to CBC.
Yeah, that's why, just about,
Let's start with CBC.
That's what I'm asking. This is a duplication, and there's an office which is doing the same function as an EACC.
Yeah.
In the office of the Attorney General, Department of Justice. You're still taking money. Why is the function of EACC with the National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee? When is the last time we had any campaign that comes with this particular?
No, during Kibaki's time, they used to have very serious campaigns.
Thank you.
It's died now with
It's a dead long time ago.
It's so easy that you picked
2013.
EACC as the answer and not National Steering Committee as well. Tells so much.
Because
Thank you
it's
for your
there.
valid company. You've been watching
No, it doesn't do anything.
You see what I was telling you, Murade just. Senior, look at what he has said.